Good evening, this is Jason with the National Weather Service here in Peachtree City, Georgia with your evening update on powerful Hurricane Irma. Hopefully we're not interrupting too much of your college football viewing plans, but we did want to bring you the latest information and some changes that we have and some new watches that have been issued. So some important things to remember. Here's Hurricane Irma right here, powerful hurricane, well-defined eye here. If you remember last night, the storm was moving right on the northern coast of Cuba, and that land interaction actually did allow the hurricane to weaken just a little bit. The eye is back over the open waters there. However, it hasn't strengthened back to the intensity that it had previously, but we do anticipate as it tracks northward that it will regain some of its strength. National Hurricane Center calling for it to go back to a Category 4 as it passes over the Keys and then approaches southwest Florida. So let's get into that National Hurricane Center forecast and take a look at that for you real quick. So here is the latest showing the hurricane. It's going to be lifting out of Cuba through the Keys, and as I mentioned, approaching the southwest coast of Florida here and then hugging the west coast there. So again, looking like a powerful major hurricane, right now calling for a Category 4 as it crosses the Keys and approaches southwest Florida. Then after that, you can see that the forecast is largely similar to what we were showing you last night with the hurricane lifting northward and then back to the northwest over portions of North Alabama. So it's going to be this area right here that we're going to be most concerned with. If you look, it still has low-end hurricane status as it moves into South Georgia. So we had a little bit of a pickup in speed of movement, and so as a result, we're going to be maintaining a low-end hurricane as it approaches South Georgia there. But as it gets into our local area, we do anticipate it weakening to a tropical storm. So let's talk about some of those aspects here. It's a really good graphic here. We like to show this one a lot. This is kind of showing, with the lines here, is showing the estimated arrival time of, or most likely arrival time of tropical storm force winds to the local area. And then the image there is showing the probabilities of tropical storm force winds. So both of those are very important. So let's look at arrival time. Sunday at 8 p.m. we're looking at the tropical storm force winds start moving into portions of North Florida, but you can see it picks up speed quickly. So by Monday at 8 a.m. we're already having those tropical storm force winds approaching or entering our local area there. So, and then Atlanta Metro between Monday morning and Monday evening, so it looks like Monday afternoon could be seeing some of the stronger winds. Still not sure if the sustained winds will be tropical storm force as it approaches the metro, but certainly in the form of gusts. So we'll be talking about that a little bit more. Probability is very high. You see 70, 80, 90% as we enter into portions of central Georgia for the probabilities of tropical storm force winds. That's important with those high probabilities now. We've actually, and I'll try to move this over for you, we've actually issued a tropical storm watch now for portions of central Georgia. So anywhere, say from the Columbus area east to include Macon and Bibb and the Warner Robins area, and then portions east, there's now a tropical storm watch in effect. And so that just means conditions are right for tropical storm force winds to develop within the next 48 hours. We will be looking very closely at the probabilities and the track of Irma, how it interacts with Florida, to determine if this tropical storm watch is converted to a tropical storm warning. We'll also be watching to see if this watch or warnings need to be expanded northward, closer to the Atlanta Metro. So that's going to be important, we know, for everybody. So we still have some time on that, but we'll be looking at it real close with the 11 p.m. update. So get into a little bit of the specifics here. Hopefully you can see this. I'll try to zoom in on where I can. So this is looking at the sustained winds. So they're not wind gusts, but these are sustained winds that we're looking at from Hurricane Irma. By this time, we're expecting it to weaken to a tropical storm as it moves into our area. So we are looking at Monday, and this is Monday afternoon around 2 p.m. You can see by Monday afternoon, we already have tropical storm force winds moving into the Dublin area, Macon area, back to Columbus and LaGrange, and then approaching the Atlanta Metro, but not quite reaching that tropical storm status yet, but certainly across the watch area right now. By Monday afternoon, we're looking at tropical storm force winds. We continue this on through Monday. This is Monday evening now. You can actually see in the wind field here what would be left of the center of Irma as it moves northward. Now obviously there could be some change in tracks, and this could be further to the west or further to the east. But right now it looks like the strongest winds would be coming generally along that Columbus area into Americas right now. Sustained winds 50 to 55 miles per hour are possible with this storm as it continues to move off to the north and then to the northwest. Again, we're seeing some of those tropical storm force winds moving into the Atlanta metro by this time. Again, we're going to wait to see how it interacts with Florida. We have a little bit of time, but we may need some watches further north along the I-20 corridor, so we're just going to wait to see about that. And then as the storm shifts off to the northwest, this is Monday night around 2 a.m. on Tuesday. You can see winds well in excess 30, 40 miles per hour, so still some strong winds out there. It will be moving out as we get into Tuesday morning. This is 6 a.m., so still some strong winds, 30 miles per hour over the northwest, but generally starting to move out, so that's good news. Let's look at some of these strong wind gusts. These are the max wind gusts. So this is 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Monday. So these are gusts to the south of us that could be over hurricane force, and then well into tropical storm force over most of the area. Again, this is looking at 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Monday, so got some really strong winds across the area and gust potential. Translate that forward a little bit, looking at 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Monday. Gets a little stronger. Remember that storm center moving up toward Columbus, getting some close to hurricane force gusts moving into the Columbus area. Can't emphasize enough saturated soils that we've had, the additional rainfall that we're going to have. We had a wet spring, wet summer. Trees are going to come down with this. It's not even going to take this much wind. Anything 30, 40, gust to 50 miles per hour is going to bring down trees. Power lines come down with those trees, and then over such a wide area, it's going to mean power outages, and those power outages could last a decent while. So that's the main thing we want everybody to be prepared for, is those potential power outages. One more max wind for you. This is Monday evening into Monday night, and again, looking at close to hurricane force as this thing moves through Columbus, but it'll be moving out after that point. But relatively long period of some strong wind gusts over most of central and then getting into North Georgia as well. So we will have a rainfall issue. Again, this storm is going to be moving relatively quickly, so we're not as concerned about the rainfall, but certainly some threat for some isolated river and flash flooding. You can see the heavier rainfall moving into central Georgia here for day one. As we get into Sunday into Monday, we start to see the heavier rainfall moving into central Georgia, 3, 4, 5 inches. Up in the metro, 2 to 2.5 inches, but this is just for this period. As we translate it northward, we get an additional 2 to 2.5 inches across extreme North Georgia. All of that said, we can look at storm total rainfall. Look at some of these numbers. We've got 3 to 5 inches across the north, but by the time we get down here, central Georgia, 5 to 7 to maybe even 8 inches across our extreme southeast portion. So the rainfall down here is going to be impressive. We haven't had a lot of rainfall real recently, so we think it can take quite a bit, but certainly this much rainfall, we will see some isolated instances of river and flash flooding. Taking a look here, I wanted to emphasize the tornado threat too. Generally that occurs on the eastern side of the track. So this is a Storm Prediction Center. Really think anywhere along the eastern portion of the track. So anywhere out here that you're looking, you can expect the threat for tornadoes. And then if we look at the next day here, so this is looking for Monday. That's really when we think the tornado threat will be maximized. Again, borderline on the metro, but certainly metro, Columbus, and points eastward, looking at that threat for isolated tornadoes. So again, thank you for staying with us this evening. Takeaway messages are trees are going to go down with this. There's going to be power outages that could last quite a while. So rainfall, not the main threat, but there will be isolated flash flooding and the isolated tornado risk as well. So try to keep you up to date and send some more of these out, but thank you for joining us.